Hello there YouTube, and welcome back to another video, and today we have got the very delayed review for Orphan 55, so I do apologise about that, but finally got round to rewatching it and now I'm going to review it, so let's get started. So then this has like a very typical booktube mid-season story sort of start with the end of another adventure leading into the adventure we're about to watch with something happening with some sort of ginormous squid tentacle-y thing. Yeah, not really sure what that was about, but sort of that then Graham finds a bunch of cues which they apparently collected on some of their travels and connects them together, and then they go on holiday. But before that happens, they sort of, I'm glad they sort of did this, but I felt like it could have happened more. They sort of referenced the events of Spyfall Part 2, the end, where Gallifrey is destroyed, by referring to the Doctor's mood being down, which I felt was a nice touch. But you would kind of hoped it to be there more, but something that has happened throughout this episode, and even follow to the next one, is the Doctor's character seems to be a lot more serious, a lot more darker, which I do like seeing the aspect of her character. And I think it's just much better overall. So then they get to this holiday spot and meet Orphan with a very odd character, and to be honest, there's not many good characters in this story in my opinion. I just never really felt attached to any of them. I mean, Benny was barely in it. Vilma, we all know the story of those two. Benny! It was quite ridiculous watching the back and just seeing that, but yeah. And then Nevi's character I felt was quite wasted to bring in that to like James Buckley, a big actor, and just have his role seem quite insignificant and very one-dimensional. Silas was alright, but yeah, just a bit meh. And Kane and Bella, they're just, all the characters just a bit meh and didn't really intrigue me that much. It was a bit disappointing. Yeah, that was just a bit one of the negatives in the story. And then we get to another issue that I have with the story, but first I'll talk about the scene where it sort of starts. When we go into the holiday, like Graham's enjoying himself, Yaz meets Benny and Vilma, and it sets up the story arc of Benny wanting to propose to Vilma, which is just, yeah. Then Ryan enjoys his holiday for about 2 seconds when he gets infected by a vending machine with a virus, and that scene was actually pretty good. That scene made me laugh. It was quite funny seeing that, and seeing the doctor like get the virus out of his system was getting quite funny. So that was a good scene, that one was. But yeah, and whereas the other issue I had with the story is that this story is actually 46 minutes, 4 minutes shorter than like the basis of a Chibnall era story. And the holiday scene I felt like should have been lasted longer. I felt like the companions should have actually felt like they were on holiday, and then the trouble starts. So I think even just filling up those extra 4 minutes with just some like montages or something of the companions just enjoying their holiday, and then all hell starts to break loose. That would have given us time to sort of explore the holiday like location, meet the characters, develop into them, make us like them a bit more, but instead just like 3-4 minutes in, the alarm bells start, Drake begin their attacks. And I just felt that was a bit rushed. And I get that Ed Heim tried to make this a fast-paced story, and that's another thing, the pacing did feel a bit off when I was rewatching it. But I felt there wasn't enough time just sort of setting up the story and getting everything introduced. Anyway, so we then get to when the Drakes get introduced. I think the directing of that scene and the writing of it is very good. The start, like the first 20-25 minutes of this episode, definitely the strongest part of the episode. It is quite interesting, quite tense. It's shot really well. Has a good horror factor with the way the Drakes are first shot. You can't really see what it is, and I think that's a good choice by Lee Haven-Jones to do it like that. And it was just quite scary to see, because the way I said this in my reaction, but the way the Drakes were sort of shot was quite brutal. The way they were killing people, Obviously it's all off screen, which is understandable based on what we could interpret by the way they were killing people. But yeah, it's quite scary the way they kill people, and it just built up their threat level. Now then, personally, I don't have a big issue with this, but I think it might maybe if it just held off from revealing the dregs when it did, like revealing what their design was. I think that might have worked a little bit better, but that's just my opinion. I felt like it was a bit too soon when they revealed the design of the dregs, which, by the way, is fantastic. The dregs are so well designed, and I said my reaction, it reminded me of I can't remember what exactly it's called, but the creature from Alien Resurrection, which is quite a creepy villain. The dreg, yeah, the dreg costume design is probably some of the best costume design we've had in the Triple era, in my opinion. But up there, like the Stenza and obviously the Big Thing, because that was a great design for villain. So there's something else that I do like about this story. I know what I said about the not not really liking the characters bit, which is correct. I wasn't really truly invested in any of them, but I was invested in the stuff that was going on with Ryan and Bella, because we haven't really seen that sort of happen. Like, as any of the companions just do something else like normal as that during an adventure. So it was quite interesting and good to see that Ryan just doing quite a normal thing for someone his age, which is a good thing to see. I quite enjoyed that, watching that. And people have an issue of how it ended with her just kissing Ryan before she, as we presume, goes to her death. But I have no issue with that personally. I think the way she sees that she's about to die, she just goes, why not? But anyways, that's skipping right to the end, back where we were. So the Doctor stops the dregs killing Ryan and Bella by using the ionic membrane, which repels them out of the dome, because it's revealed that they are in a fakeation, or I think so. Yeah, so Vilma eventually sort of states to Kane, I believe, that she wants to get her Benny back. So they go and find Benny, and I like the Doctor sort of say it. Sort of, it felt very doctory of her to sort of say we need to get Benny back, as it's just as he's alive. He's a person who's still alive and needs to be saved. And this season, as I said, I sort of clicked with her in series 11 and Resolution, but she wasn't anywhere up at the top. She's just constantly rising after every episode, and it gets even better in the next one. And Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, and hopefully we'll get better Fugitive of the Jadoon. But we have to wait and see for that. And the scene that I particularly and felt very alike to Jodie's Doctor was when she began to work out what the dregs were on us by her own. As you know, that an issue of many people have with her is just the exposition that she's constantly written with. But this sort of felt very like her character, just having a conversation with herself, and it's like she's having it with someone else, and then she ends up working out the dregs while she's doing it, and it felt very her character and that's something distinctive to her character, which I only felt her Doctor could do. So that was a scene I quite liked. Now in this whole scene in the truck thing, this is where I felt sort of pacing started to be a bit off. It was just, we've had quite a fast-paced story up to this point, and it just slowed down for this, and it just felt quite unnatural. Then the dregs set the trap, and then the truck goes through the traps and breaks down, and then the pacing sort of straight up, very quick pace for the rest of the story. It just felt quite off at times. It sort of, I'll say rest of the story, it sort of dipped in and out, and it it didn't feel quite right when you were watching it, in my opinion at least. Yeah, so the scene sort of intensifies up once they get out of the truck and find out that they're surrounded by the dregs. That was a trap set by the dregs, and they start attacking the truck, and it's revealed that they've got Benny in some way. And personally, I would like to know what he got to Benny. I felt I understand that in their time's mind he was just sort of decided to leave that to our imagination, but for me I think it would have been better if he just sort of revealed what they had done to Benny. But the scene gets quite dark here. As Benny sort of asks Vilma if she'll marry him, and she says yes. And then he goes, "If anyone can you please shoot me?" Which is quite... that certainly has quite a sting to it. That's quite nice, like nasty thing to hear. So that was quite a tough thing for Vilma to go through, which didn't really go anywhere. But yeah, well, Kane ended up shooting Benny, and then Vilma's a little bit upset about that, but kind of forgotten about after that. Now then, this is where the episode sort of gets flipped on its head. From this point, when I was watching it, I was like, okay, this is pretty solid stuff. It's nothing outstanding, but like solid 7 out of 10. Pretty enjoyable. Then once you get down into the tunnels, the story just completely loses it. The dregs kind of lose their threat. They just seem to just like be chasing the Doctor and everyone else who's alive just around endlessly. And there's a really outplaced twist with Bella, which just even rewatching and know it's going to happen just felt so random and unplanned. Where Bella's revealed to be Kane's daughter, and then she is there to blow up the vacation, which just didn't feel natural at all, and it just felt kind of ineffective and just didn't really work in my opinion. But from this point on, it just feels like a random montage of the dregs just chasing around the Doctor and everyone else, and just them running away. Although saying that, there were some and there were some good scenes, like when it was quite interesting to see the Doctor run out of oxygen, and then that bumps into a dreg who is hibernating or sleeping or something in those sort of terms, and it's then revealed that the dreg has different ecosystems. So as we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide, they breathe in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen, which then also makes sense considering what Orphan 55 is, which is Earth. And I'll get onto all the stuff about Earth later, as I have quite a bit to talk about that with. That twist, the fact that Orphan 55 is Earth, I think works well on its own. Forgetting like how it ends, I think that's a good twist. Again, I'll talk about it a bit later. No, so I think that I don't go back to seeing the Doctor when she was, like getting oxygen off the dregs and gone into the dreg mind and saw what I'm assuming was the end of the Earth. And then the dreg woke up and almost killed her, and then Kane saves her. I thought that should have been how Kane should have died. Because it ended really weirdly, with Kane ends up not dying and saves Bella. But that scene just felt like it would work so much better if she's just died there. And it's just so unclear how she survived. Now, there were positives this episode, like little one, felt like the sonic screwdriver wasn't overused in this episode, and that's, as we know, that's an issue in the Chibnall era. But the sonic screwdriver wasn't overused. There wasn't massive amounts of exposition from Jodie. There was a couple of scenes that maybe like it was over-explained, but nothing really that bothered me. Graham this season that hasn't really had that much to do, but it's not become an issue yet. Because his character was so well developed in series 11, and because he's just such a lovable character and the best at the TARDIS team, in my opinion. It doesn't seem to bother me, although Yaz in this episode didn't really have too much to do, which is a shame, because going back to roots of series 11, although saying that this wasn't as bad as series 11, although again, contrasting that, this episode definitely would have fit in if it was in series 11. It felt like a very series 11 episode, and I saw something that kind of makes sense. That Ed Hine was one of the earliest confirmed writers in series 12. So this episode was probably one of the first scripts written. So all the all it like with Spyfall part 1 and part 2 and Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, as they all feel like they have built, like, getting rid of the issues that Series 12 had. This one probably wasn't, like, it was already finished when it's, well, Series 12 planning and stuff was already going on. Which is a shame, but it is what it is, I guess. And this whole story had a good idea of, like, it just being like a survival. It's just been not being about fixing the situation, like trying to get rid of anything, or it was just like an episode for survival. Like, it wasn't one of those episodes where it's all about a doctor saving the day. It was one of those episodes just about everyone trying to fight and survive, which was something we haven't really got in Doctor Who that much. This is an idea that in the story that I quite enjoyed when I watched it. And there was a scene that where the Doctor was trapped in a cage with a drag outside, and that scene was quite tense. It was also it was well done and well written as well. That was quite a good scene. So this episode felt like it could have been getting on track around about that point, but then completely lost it. The end, where it's just where they're about to teleport, and then annoyingly there was too many people to teleport, so Bella got off, and as previously kissed Ryan, which I personally don't have an issue with. But then the gun, for some reason, fails on her. Kane appears, and it just feels really out of place and really odd. And then Silas and Nevi teleport away, and then the Doctor and a fam end up teleporting back to the TARDIS. And something that I had an issue with when I watched it the first time and I just rewatched it, was that I felt like Ryan's sort of like grief of the fate that's left for Bella should have been focused upon more. I get that the speech, I'll get on to that in a second, but I get that everyone wanted to move on to that, but it just felt like it was pushed aside. It had like one couple lines to recognise it, and then it was just pushed aside and more or less forgotten about, which I felt was a bit unnatural and a bit annoying when I was watching it. Okay, so now getting on to the big talking point about this episode was the speech, the whole message for the episode. So just putting the speech aside, I felt like if that speech hadn't been there, or was just written differently, a bit more obscurely and a bit less on the nose, I think it would have been fine personally. Before that speech had happened, I felt it wasn't too much, and the message was clear and obvious, and you all got it, and it was there, and that didn't bother me. But in the speech, it was an important speech to get across, so they get the message of it, and I'm not saying it's wrong, because it isn't wrong, but it just felt really poorly handled, and it felt quite unnatural in the flow of the story and what just happened, and it just felt way too much like the Doctor was lecturing to the companions. And again, going back to the thing with Ryan, he was really upset about what happened to Bella, and Doctor's just and they all were probably upset about seeing Earth like that. So this just felt really out of place, and then how it ended is like going Orm and then shot to the dregs just felt really weird. It's a shame because it's an important message to get across, but it's just so poorly handled, and instead of being looked upon as something inspirational, it just feels quite tedious when you watch it, which is a shame because the thing is with this story is that it could have been really good, but it's just a lot of ideas poorly handled. So anyway, just getting to my rating for the story, it was a story of a really well designed villain. Doctor's much better. Ryan in this had an interesting story up with Bella, but overall the characters were pretty poor. Yaz didn't have too much to do, nor did Graham, and there was quite a few ideas poorly handled, but it had a good start and had other good scenes. So overall, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. So not the worst Doctor Who story ever, but not the best. So thank you for watching this review. I hope there will be one coming out on Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror as we catch up on Saturday, and tomorrow will be a preview of Fugitive of the Judoon, which is an episode that I'm quite excited for because this seems like the episode where the series kicks into gear the story arc it's heading for. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, but apart from that, I'll see you in the next video.